Right back on the seat.
Look at the anyway.
Welcome to Didcot Railway Centre today, and thank you for coming. I'm not sure I've seen such a big crowd as this on very many occasions. In fact, even on TW175, it shows the interest that there is in this locomotive. Today really is an historic day for the Great Western Society, and I think for railway preservation, because what we've got behind us is the culmination of Mission Impossible. The Great Western Society first became involved in 6023 in 1967, if you believe it, when we were looking, Barry, for a 4-cylinder locomotive to preserve, to improve the collection. What we knew about 6023 was that it had the best boiler of all the four-cylinder locomotives in Barry, but of course it had a little bit of a problem. It had a wheel set that had been broken. Over the 70s and 80s, many armchair members came along and suggested to us at regular intervals that we should actually take 6023 into the collection, because what we hadn't got was a king. Very, very, very different. We also thought that really was beyond the bounds of the ability of volunteers to deal with. We turned to decide. Who gave it to the Brunel Engineering Centre Trust in Bristol as part of the GW150 celebrations in 1985. The Brunel Engineering Centre Trust dismantled the locomotive, started cleaning it up, and then, as we all know, it came to an end. And I became involved with this at the beginning of 1989, after that had finished, and when it was suggested that the Great Western Society yet again should take on 6023. But this time we were feeling a little bit more confident. We've seen 71,000 restored with the missing cylinder, and we've seen his dad, Edward I, also restored in 1989. And so there was a feeling within Didcot that we should give it a go. And at the end of 1989, we had a meeting, and this is where I met this chap here, Dennis Howell, for the first time. And Dennis has been very much involved with 6024, and has actually probably been responsible for stripping this there with his own hands. And I said to him at this meeting, well, Dennis, can we make a new wheel set? And he said, oh, absolutely. I said, can we actually put it back in a single chimney form? Yes, he said, no problem. And on that, he gave me the confidence that we should actually give it a go. And I think we should owe Dennis Howells a round of applause for what he's done in producing this. Worked tirelessly for 22 years on this. And as I say, he's the only person who's worked on 6023 and 6024. And as we know, 6023 was pretty much a bare hole, but he knew where a lot of the skeletons were. And it took us about 2 years to actually find those skeletons, and I've been reminded this morning of where some of them were by somebody who's come down from Birmingham. But gradually over the next 18 months or 2 years, we got everything together, and all the parts that we could find, we got. Now, what I have to say is that if you look above here, okay, apart from the boiler or the chimney, which comes from a flower pot that was in Northampton, everything is brand new. All the motions, with one exception, is virtually brand new. And that's why it's taken 22 years to do, because getting all those parts, and believe me, a four-cylinder locomotive's got a lot more motion than a two-cylinder one. It's taken us all that time to do it. But I think you'll agree with me that it's a magnificent achievement. And it wouldn't have happened without Dennis. And I said that the biggest thing to overcome was the wheel set. And the wheel set, we decided that we had to give the project some credibility, and we started off with that. And what I didn't realise until the last 5 weeks was that in fact there are 3 different era wheel sets on this locomotive. The one behind Dennis is brand new in 1990. The one in the middle is Great Western, and the one at the front is British Railway Western region. Those were 3 eras. But it took nearly 5 years to make that wheel set, and I need to couple that with one other volunteer who's also played a very big part in this, which is Mike Rudd. Mike came to us in 1990, having just retired, and he's still with us, and actually looks younger than ever. And he played a big part in that. And part of that, of course, is getting approval for the wheel set. And when he came later, because this actually gave us a chance to do other things, like painting and other projects elsewhere. We went along to the then rail track and said we wanted to build another spoke wheel, and they were horrified because there was air between the spokes, and they weren't actually sure that it would actually stand up. So Dennis was in Derby, and Lord Duchess of Hamilton was outside, waiting to go on a rail tour, and he said to them, well, if you're not going to give us approval for the spokes, I'm going to stop your rail tour immediately, because those wheels out there, between the spokes, have only got air as well. But it's given us the confidence to do other things, and that reduced around rail motor, and hopefully that spawns other projects through other parts of the country. As I said, the most enormous task. And everything else, fittings, chimney, by the way, is original. I think it came on the 688, and James II, and it was a flower pot in Norway. And I believe that the van nearly got bogged down in the garden, taking the chimney out of the garden. Now, before we started this, Dennis said to me, how many checks have you done? Oh, it's 1,084. I said, well, then I've actually done nearly 1,100 orders for different things for this locomotive. 1,100 orders. £700,000. Quite a time. Over the years, there have been well over 100 people on the team, and I can't really thank everyone individually. What I would say is that without them, and also without those who've actually provided the finance, we wouldn't have got where we are today. So I'd like to publicly thank the team, and I'd like to give them a clap for all that they've done over the last 22 years. My role, apart from being chairman for the last 10 or 11 years, and deputy chairman before that, has been the appeal coordinator. And it's been a pleasure for me to actually work with the team to provide the finance for that. And I'd like to thank everyone who has put money in. And I think well over 3,000 people have made a contribution. And probably some 300 or 400 a major contribution to this. And without your support, we also wouldn't have this where we are today. The tender, the cab sites, when we went to Bristol, they were placed on contingency. They cut them up. And so we had to make a brand new tender, and we had the 7 valiant LNWR crew for making that. And I'd also like to thank Dick Branston and Alex Beasley for their work on the boiler. Now, before I hand over to Steve Davis, who is going to say a few words, I'd like to just say something which is quite personal. Many of you read Steam Railway, and in Steam Railway, 2 months ago, the editor, Gary Boyd Hope, wrote a very personal editorial in which he said that he stood on Bristol Temple Meads station in 1986 with his father, and his father had said, "This will never happen." Now when I got home, my son said to me, he said, I could have written that very same piece word for word, because I didn't think it would happen either. And let's be quite honest about it. I don't think anyone thought that we would actually resurrect this locomotive to be as it is today. It's been a big task. As my son said to me, God, you must have taken a big risk. But it didn't seem that at the time. But probably looking back, maybe it was. I remember thinking to myself, stuff, it won't cost more than about 100,000. But inflation, of course, takes part during the way. Anyway, thank you very much for all your support. I know not everyone likes it in blue, but it certainly got people talking, and it was an authentic difference. Enjoy it. It's going to go to the Mid-Norfolk, it's going to go to the Severn Valley and the Great Central in due course. And for those who would like to come back on Easter Saturday, I'm pleased to say that Dad's coming next week actually, because he's going to use our wheel drive. But Dad and son will be operating on Easter Saturday. With that, I'd like to hand over to Steve Davis to say a few words. Thank you.
To start the formalities, a couple of parish notices. The last time I was in Great Western Territory opening an event at the Swindon and Cricklade Railway, the Western Daily Press advertised that it was going to be performed by Steve Davis, the snooker player. So I'm delighted to be recognised finally for my real job amongst great people here today. The second parish notice is that Rich has asked me to point out to you the coincidence of today with the brand new Didcot guide. So up to date that the king is on the front and the rail motor is on the back. So dig deep, £5. I've read it from cover to cover. It's a fantastically informed and very attractive piece. Is that enough? Mayor of Didcot, Chairman and Council of the Great Western Society, Minister for Culture, members of the Great Western Society, honoured guests, ladies and gentlemen. Just when you think that the railway preservation movement has no more surprises in store, when you believe it has exhausted all possible options, when you believe it has achieved every dream it ever had, when you are convinced that every impossible project has been completed, then quietly, and with only recent fanfare, a breathtaking and truly awe-inspiring tribute to the passion this country has for its railway heritage comes along, as if to say, you ain't seen nothing yet. For let us be in no doubt, the vision of elegance, beauty and engineering excellence stood behind me is undoubtedly the stuff of dreams, and a clear deliverer of the message that our movement routinely delivers the impossible. It also represents a quite monumental achievement given the catastrophic condition this locomotive was in. Now, this is not just a complex assembly of steel, iron, copper and brass. It is the living embodiment of that quintessentially British characteristic, determination. Only the determined could hold the vision of this day in their sights for the last 2 decades. Only the determined could pour energy, strength, ingenuity, patience, willpower, devotion and sheer grit into a project of such magnitude. And it has been grim determination that has seen the people most closely associated with the locomotive through to its triumphant conclusion. Many of us also saw the state of this locomotive all those years ago at Bristol Temple Meads. No sane person would have contemplated its restoration. An official act of vandalism to a driving wheel set was but one of its problems. So as we have heard, apart from the frames, boiler shell and 2 surviving sets of driving wheels, what you see behind me is effectively a brand new locomotive. And that is why I genuinely feel that the only word, heroic, can truly convey the significance of the battle fought by the Great Western Society all these years to bring this amazing example of British engineering back to life. Now, we will applaud the locomotive a little later, but for now, I too would like to focus on the human DNA to be found all over this project. To the likes of Dennis Howells, Richard Croucher and Mike Rudge, who with so many others too numerous to mention, have put their hearts and soul into this and no doubt sacrificed much of their domestic bliss. And of course they have achieved the impossible. And of course we must pay tribute to their wives, girlfriends, husbands and partners who, like others up and down this industry, have provided much patience and loyal support. Ladies and gentlemen, I too would ask you to join me now in saluting them all in time-honoured fashion. So, what of this fine machine? What does it represent? What does it mean? Well, first and foremost, it is for pleasure. Pleasure to those who restored her, and pleasure to those who will see her in action or travel with her. There is no shame in being seen to smile broadly in the presence of such a stunning Leviathan. But she is also educational. She is here to tell a story to a modern generation. The past was not another place. In fact, it was only yesterday. But the key point here is that the planned high-speed 2 line can trace its origins back to the likes of this locomotive. The modern railway did not grow overnight. It developed naturally and in a continuous way. And it is important that the railway preservation and heritage business promotes itself to the modern railway as representing its heritage, not just our own. King Edward II will therefore play a vital role, as all preserved railway operations do, in explaining how we arrive at today's railway scene, and of why railways retain as much relevance today as they did in the past. I have no doubt too that we're all excited and curious about how she will fare with a single chimney. And I recognise that I am straying into challenging territory here, given my own close association with another large locomotive about to reappear in traffic. But doesn't it look right? And isn't part of the thrill today the thought that you would never see one on a King? So we all look forward to seeing her back on her former stamping ground, and in particular to seeing for ourselves just how much a difference the double chimney really made. So, in the absence of a string to pull, or a ribbon to cut, or a bottle of champagne to smash across her bow, may I, on behalf of you all, now formally launch King Edward II back into traffic, and may God bless all who travel behind her. Thank you.
Excuse me if I can just squeeze by.
spoken, man. Very good.
Not quite as long as at Langdofton, which was 24 minutes and 20 seconds.
Well
they
done.
said.
Very good. Great moment. Congratulations on it.
It's a John Buffett. No.
Take a picture.
Yeah, a lucky one or
No, yeah, was it flat? Well, I had a plan.
I didn't know.
Yes, with a significant element of the plan. I'm happy with that. Very happy with that. That isn't one of the ones which is going to have to get hacked in the Photoshop later. I've got a collection of those.
I know what you mean.
Yes, this is it. We have a light so wrong. I just threw it in raw mode and just went. I'll tidy it later.
Yeah, I know. Never get done though, does it?
It will get.